What's up, my party people? It's your boy Darshaun Smith back again for another video, and I got a guest today. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, so glad to be here. I'm Hailey Marx, and happy to be on the Positivity Gods podcast.
Yes, indeed. This is episode 71, and to be honest with you, I don't got a title yet, so just roll the intro and let's get straight to it. Woo! All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Okay. Hopping straight into this. Just because I have a guest, don't think we're changing the format too much, okay? We're still going to talk about how we've been over this last week, but you've heard enough from me already. Please, guess, Hailey, talk about yourself. How have you been during this finals week thus far?
Yeah, this finals week has been going really well. I've been really blessed to have a really easy finals week. I just had one final on Monday, 12:30 to 2:30. We got it at 1:30. It was just a screening. My professor, shout out Brian Eckdale in the School of Journalism. He's awesome. He also brought in popcorn for us, so it was super chill. I am done. It feels so nice. The weeks leading up to it, though, it was a grind.
Real grind.
Sure. Yes, it was. That trade-off. So you can't have it all, but find the good and the bad.
It be like that, I'm glad that you're done. I still got 3 more,
Yes, it feels nice that over here and I can relax and not worry about that exam or final that I have coming up.
Can't relate.
It's smooth sailing.
Can't relate. But like I said, I'm glad you're doing all right. You're doing well. You're hopefully making these A's or just great grades that you're satisfied with. And that's what we like to hear. But as per usual, I guess I'll talk about myself for like 30 seconds. I'm all right. Objectively speaking, it's a Tuesday, so I recorded that last episode like 2 days ago. But you'll see this Sunday. So in the 2 days that's eclipsed since we've last met, virtually speaking, we'll say. Nothing much has changed. I mean, I put on a new shirt, I guess. So shout out 2015 Bear Walk, so go Hawks. And let's hop straight into this interview. So we were talking slightly before this, before I turned the camera on, we'll say, and just about like your career endeavors and like your life and your current majors and such. So to my understanding, you're a journalism and cinema major, correct?
Yep, correct. That's a double major.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so I want to do the video production track, maybe something with sports or documentary filmmaking. So that's, the overlap there. It's been good. It's been fun. Journalism was my original major starting out coming here when I was a freshman. I didn't switch to cinema as a double major until second semester my sophomore year. So a little bit not behind on that, but I'll have to take a lot of cinema classes in these next few semesters, so that'll be a grind, but I'm looking forward to it.
So with you being a double major and all, will you still graduate in the standard 4 years, or will you take an extra semester?
Yeah, so as of right now, plan, hopefully if all things go well, I'll be graduating within my 4 years. So it's nice that I think I had a really great advisor. Shout out Anna, the School of Journalism.
Shout out Anna.
I mean, can you tell that I love the people in the J School, short for School of Journalism.
School of Journalism.
Yeah. I have a lot of people helping me and guiding me along the way. They've been great and haven't led me astray so far.
That's good. If you don't know, the target demographic of this podcast definitely is for all folks, but and certain times and topics, especially in this one, there are a lot of college students that are tuning in. So like, I think, in this interview, I think this will like help a lot of people like navigate like what it is like having 2 majors. Because I myself am a double major in, sociology and African American studies, here at the University of Iowa. So I really do appreciate your insight into that. And if there's anything like you want to like say or like provide some red flags or like do you have any advice for people to like stay on top of their academics, like managing 2 things that sometimes may not be related?
Yeah, for sure. I always get projects done or homework done that's, due first. And create a schedule or a calendar if you have to. Whether, for me, that's like a whiteboard calendar that I've stuck to the wall that I'm sure many other college students do. That's a go-to. Find it at Target. Find something like $5, $10, whatever it is.
It's cheap. We broke.
Absolutely. You got to find all these tips and tricks. Save money wherever possible. Or, get a planner. Write something on your hand if you need to, if you're really that broke, or if that's how you're going to remember it. Find something to keep you organized. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but create a schedule or something like that to stick to your plan and check things off. It helps. Actually, for me, I don't necessarily need to do that, but I know for a lot of people, it really helps. So find what works for you. Your one method isn't going to work for everyone else, and that's okay. But yeah, find something and power through. And yeah, that's how I've been able to handle 2 different projects, like my cinema classes. I've been putting together video projects, obviously, and then journalism classes. I have other different projects or just papers, and sometimes you have to train your mind to work back and forth and how that process works, and you got to organize in a different way. But I know as finals are coming up, it's important to this week as you hear it, it's important to take that break and give your mind that mental break, because if you push yourself too hard and you go from one project to another, especially if they're not related, you're going to get tripped up and stuff, and you're not going to perform your best work. At least that's me from experience. So yeah, just keep in mindful of that, and yeah, your mental health is important too.
All right, so I've known Hailey for since 2019, more or less.
Freshman year, yeah.
I must say we're not the closest of individuals, but we do keep intact. And that I say all that to say that I've heard a lot of common themes that I preach to people on here, and I'm just telling you, from one successful person to another successful person, I think we're on to something here. Okay, so this is unscripted. Okay, I'm asking questions off the dome. You're giving responses off the dome, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
So this is impromptu. Okay, we're 7.5 minutes in already. So yeah, that being said, organization is something you had, highlighted here.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of having a planner, whether that be your, tablet here
that
looks like a composition notebook, or because I saw someone physically draw a calendar and do it that way, or whether that be I do it on my phone. I've Google Calendar, Google Keep. These things keep me in check. Speaking of checking things, you had mentioned a check-off list. Why that specifically? Is that just because you get the dopamine high of feeling like I completed something, or what is that for you, I guess?
Yeah, so it kind of feels nice to earlier today I was thinking maybe I should start putting together a pack list, even though I don't go home for almost a week. But that's the part of you do take little steps to organize yourself, and you start somewhere. So creating a list, and then you can start checking it off. Okay, I've already done that. So if you have a lot, especially if you have a lot on your plate or a lot coming up, you just that little bit. It's okay, I've done this much and I have this much to go, but it's not as much, as it once was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's, it feels good. Celebrate the small accomplishments.
That is very key. This is a perfect segue actually into my next question. So, we're talking about, just keeping yourself organized for things that are going ahead in the future. Mm-hmm. But something I've, really taken away from this semester in college, one of which that will be the follow-up question to this, hopefully, if it works. But the first thing I want to ask you is you make a schedule and a checkoff list going forward, but do you ever truly reflect on what has happened in this last semester, the things you've accomplished, whether that be on group projects or just things you ever feel you're in a lull state where you don't feel like you've completed anything, so you need to go back and actually identify all that you've done, because it may be surprising?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you made. I don't tend to do that often, but I'm following a lot of people in the photography and videography world, and they're celebrate the small things, look at back how far you've come. And even though I'm still a student and I haven't really done a whole lot outside my classwork, classwork is still something to be celebrated, of things that you turn in, create that portfolio for whatever you're doing, that would, show up on a resume and stuff like that. And even that's important. Just because you're student and you know, may not be in like the real world with air quotes for the people on the podcast.
There you go, the people listening, we're looking out for you.
You know, like the college is, sure, people say maybe that's not the real world, but it doesn't mean that your stuff doesn't count. It doesn't matter. And so I think I need give myself that reminder, and I want to thank you, Darshaun, for like helping that instill that in me. And I need to give myself, a pat on the back for, like I said, the small things, the big things, and celebrate every moment.
Indeed. Like I said, it's good to look forward, just to stay on top of yourself. It's also good to create a vision board. As you can see here, I mean, the people at home, can't see this, but I have my 2022 goals and the long-term goals, okay? This is an exclusive. Not too many people have seen this.
It's a great board.
And I would say, that is also something important. But something that is also important that has been highlighted to me that I wonder if you've ever come across in your field of study, being that you're, journalism and cinema, and, you have future endeavors in, actually producing digital content to some degree.
Absolutely.
Such as this podcast,
Yeah.
like I was saying, what has become apparent to me is like the dualism of like life, if that's a way of saying it. In other words, we tend to focus on one thing or the other in life, and not really the whole complete picture. Meaning, like, I guess in my field, sociology and African American studies, we tend to focus on the bad things, whether that be, murders or, crime, or just homeless people, things of that nature, just lack of wealth or inequality of some kind. But something that has been highlighted to me is the importance of looking at the other side, where the grass is greener, they say. Sure. Where you see like black families not having parents. On the other side of that coin, there's black joy and like families that are actually living well and prospering and stuff. So I'm saying, my question to you is, in your own field of study, like, have you ever thought about the concept in which I'm talking about, and like how you represent media, as well as have you ever come across it in what you read? Do you ever think it's like a one-sided argument, or do you think both sides, the good and the bad, the pretty and ugly, are being fairly represented?
Yeah, I try to follow publications that have like represent both sides equally. A great media company or website, newspaper, is NPR. I really think they do fair and accurate reporting. And that's funny. Last semester I had a TA talk about like this, very similar concept, and I think I want to try and like bring that fairness and equality and accurate representation to everyone, as many people as possible. And as a white woman, I mean, being white, I haven't faced any like discrimination or just mistreatment or whatever. But as a woman, I still don't really feel like that, but in the past that has been the case. And so in the world of media, I want to make sure that stays the same, or do better to represent that. And we still talk about in the general, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but if you look for it, and you don't need to look that hard, and I try to avoid it as much as possible, at least consuming it in a negative way, thinking like that. But there is still like media stories being put out there that the stories aren't getting fairly represented or depicted in the right light, and it's unfortunate that this continues to stay the same, and it's a pattern of human error.
All right. With that being said, you had started to like hint at your future careers and endeavors and such. So like, just like broadly speaking, before we get into like the nitty gritty, what do you want to do with your 2 papers you're about to get here soon?
My 2 papers?
Yeah, your degrees.
Oh, yes. Like papers. I was thinking like writing papers.
No. I mean like your bachelor's degrees.
Yeah. So I think I really want to do just like highlight reels for sports, or putting packages together like that. And I'm still like fluid with that, and go wherever life takes me, and not be so willing to say no to stuff that I don't want to do. Maybe open to more stuff, but definitely in the world of sports, and maybe even soccer. And the kind of push behind that is that in the beginning of April, I had the wonderful opportunity to go on the Sport and Rec Management field trip through the University of Iowa program. And we went down to Kansas City for a weekend, and we toured. Darshaun knows a little bit about this. We toured all the sporting stadiums, or a lot of the sporting stadiums in Kansas City. We went to Arrowhead, which is the Kansas City Chiefs football team. We went to the Royals, the Kansas City baseball team, and then Sporting KC, which is their soccer team there. And we got to network with professionals. We got to do tours. We got to watch a baseball game, even though it was freezing cold. When you guys had snow here, or in Iowa City, when you had snow, we had either freezing rain or sleet.
Yeah.
That was an adventure.
It was fun.
Yeah, but it was so much fun, and the people were really welcoming and presented themselves really well, especially Sporting KC, which is the soccer program. And I already have like some interest in soccer, and that's grown in the past year or two. And I think maybe really get into that, because generally football is really where everyone wants to go, and I love football. Hawkeye football, that's so much fun.
Let's go Hawks.
Darshaun's in the band, and the band has so much fun.
Hawkeye Nest, okay, it's branded, but continue on. You're saying.
So like I said, everyone wants to dip their foot into the realm of football, and I'm not ruling that out, but I think soccer, not many people gravitate towards that, and if I already have a growing love for that, and blend the two together, I think that would be really cool.
Solid. I mean, it's actually funny that you mentioned all of that, because I literally was going to ask you about that next. So being that we've just talked about that whole experience, I want to talk specifically about something you had mentioned there. Okay, not only because I took a whole class about this topic this semester, but I just try to use my own degree in this podcast to some degree,
of course.
But let's talk about the sociology of networks. Okay, you had mentioned briefly when you went on this trip with the sports and rec department here, that it was an opportunity to network with people. So first we'll just start, what's your understanding of networking in the modern sense?
Yeah, so I'm still trying to learn what that is, and not go past the line of being too invasive, but it's meeting with professionals and learning everything they know, so that you could tap into this industry with the knowledge, and be better and present yourself in the best professional way as possible, and be prepared for the real world. And of course, they go above and beyond, and you have to show that as well. So be uber appreciative. Actually, the guy who led this, his name's Dan Matheson.
Shout out Dan.
Yes, in the Sport and Rec Management program. I hope I got that name right.
If not, comment below, Dan.
Yes, please.
Let us know.
I'm not in the Sport and Rec Management program, so pretty sure. Anyway, he, of course, encouraged us to, of course, think them. So that should go without saying in person. But he also said, write them up with follow-up emails, which is also great, which also should be done. But something I haven't thought of is that handwrite a letter to them and mail it in, and I would have not thought of that. I would have thanked them in person regardless and write up an email, but to do that handwritten note, it's the 21st century. It's where everyone has electronics and communicates that way. I think it's so cool that he emphasized that on doing that strip back, and that's also part of networking. Like I said, not everyone thinks of that. So thinking of the stuff that goes above and beyond to try and get yourself out there, because one of the panelists said at the Kansas City Chiefs, they said, you're going to remember the conversations that you've had with the big people with the network. It's that the people that have already made it in the business. But the high people up there, they're not going to remember the little ones, the little guys, because they talk to so many people.
Indeed,
but
they do.
If you introduce yourself and you have a question and you follow up again, say thank you again, email and do handwritten notes saying thanks so much for your time. I really liked our conversation about X, Y, and Z. then that will provide that spark of like, hey, I remember that person. Oh yeah, like I'll remember them back ahead of, later, and maybe months, as soon as months later, or years later. You never know when that opportunity is going to come. So making long-lasting network impressions are really key, and I can't really speak too much on that because I'm still learning and finding my way. But I know, like I said, I've had many chances and accounts of people really helping me along the way and being supportive and receptive to that networking.
So what I'm hearing is, in essence, is you do have a great concept of what networking is in the modern sense, and so much so that, I think everything what you just said right there was, it's one thing to meet the people, it's another thing to thank the people and just be appreciative to be in that situation. But the key thing you brought up here, which I think is often overlooked and is kind of the whole point of networking as a whole, at least from my understanding, is to set yourself apart from the pack.
Absolutely. And so another anecdote story about it is that, so I mentioned before, I'm following photographers and videographers on social media. And so I think back in February, early March, I was looking on this photographer. He does both stories, and he was like, I think he said he had something like a layover or something, and he just like asked me questions about whatever, or photography or videography. So I on that Instagram story where you can reply your answer, I asked like, what's your student like studying photography and videography like should know in the real world, or something along those lines. Like I said, it was a few months ago. I don't remember the exact question. But he got back to me and just on the story, and he replied like, when you're in the real world, you're competing with the big people. Like, you're on the same level. Like, you're going to have less experience, but you're going to have to compete for the same opportunities and jobs, and you have to prove yourself why you're worth hiring and for stuff like that. So building up that portfolio is really important now. So I was, of course, really thankful and appreciative for that. But what I could have done, I could have just let it go, take that note in me, and not say anything. But I wanted to do more. I didn't know if it would go anywhere. And I DM'd him on Instagram, and I did a personal thank you. I'm like, hey, I want to thank you on behalf of me and other college students who are going into this field. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this. Really appreciative. And he replied like, yeah, no problem. And I'm happy to help. And a few weeks later, he reached out. It was over spring break, actually. He reached out to me. So like, hey, are you looking for like with some specific lens, like 135 millimeter lens or something? And I was like, I would love that, but I don't have a camera right now. And he was giving it away for free. Like, he would have given it to me for free, which was super cool that he remembered me and thought of me. And probably only because of I attached that personal note to him of like that simple thank you. Like, it was so easy, it was so quick, and I couldn't have written him a letter because I obviously don't know his address. But I tried to make it as personal as possible, put myself out from the crowd, and he was happy to help. And then a few weeks later after that, I think I had his email by then. Not at that time, but I DM'd him again on Instagram, and I said like, hey, any chance like in the near future, if you're free, like don't worry about it if you're not, but like, could we hop on a Zoom meeting and talk about X, Y, and Z? I have a few questions for that. Super responsive and like welcoming to that. And so we talked for like an hour about networking in the professional world and stuff like that. And yeah, he was happy to do it, and he's following me on my social media accounts. And I think that's really cool, because I'm like I said, I'm just a small tiny person. He's made it up in the world, and it's cool that he wants to follow along on the journey and help me out and help other people out. So like I said, but it only happens when you set yourself apart from these other people. You go the extra mile and you do these things, because that's when people start to remember you. They're not going to remember you if you're just another face in the crowd.
All right, I found the title of this episode, The Power of Networking.
Yeah, I guess.
The Power of Networking. That being said, you had mentioned social medias. Do you want to shout anything out while you're here? Get your free promo in.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Hailey Marx Photography. That's all I mean, if you guys want, well, I'll just put my professional photography page on there.
I'll add it in the notes in below.
Perfect.
Feel so inclined to follow Hailey here. And just real quick, I want to provide you, like I said, a platform to, ask any questions or anything you got, that you want to bring up or anything like that. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about before we move on? Really putting you on the spot here.
Well, I'll just add on a little bit to the networking stuff.
A few moments later.
pretty much.
When, you can tell that Darshaun's done this a few times. Like when someone stumbles. I love that though. Okay, add on to a little bit of the networking. You never know where this stuff can go because I was following this photographer, some other people started following me, like another photographer, cinematographer for E60, which is a show on ESPN, started following me on my personal and photography accounts, and I was like, oh, I better follow this guy back because I was not following him at the time. And then last weekend, I saw a concert in Swisher, Iowa. Shout out Swisher, Iowa. It's a small town, but I love it. Anyway.
Very small.
Yes. But there was her photographer was in the crowd, and she happened to stand like right in front of me, and I waited for her to like get her shots, and I didn't want to disturb her. I'm like, hey, what's your name? Like, I would love to follow and support you on Instagram. And she was so startled and so like taken aback by it. Like, I'm sure she hasn't, personally got that question beforehand. And then I introduced myself. I'm like, well, I'm an aspiring photographer, videographer as well. And she's like, oh yeah, like, I mean, I'd be happy to support you too. So like, again, you never know. Find the smallest moments, and the worst thing that happens, they don't get back to you, or they say no. So shoot that shot, because now I have some professional people in the business following me, and like I said, that could go somewhere. You just never know. Not saying that it definitely will, because life doesn't always work like that, and that's okay. But you just have to like bounce back from that. But you don't know if you don't try.
What I'm hearing is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so don't be afraid to reach out to a fellow compatriot. Don't be afraid to, extend an offer to someone, and most importantly, I think the flip, because we talked about this, the flip side of all of this, let's talk about the negative side, is don't waste people's time,
Absolutely.
I think that is very important, and I had a case that come up recently with a friend of mine who someone had DM'd them looking for a job or something, because they were financially in the position looking for like an assistant or something like that to like aid their life or what have you. But ultimately that person ended up wasting like an hour or two of that person's life as well as their own, because they were one, playing games, and then two, when the person had asked them to produce material that had would be like their interview, like, show me what you got, they just thought it was a joke, and then weren't grateful for like trying to actually get the job. They were like, the whole point of you reaching out is to somewhat, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, aid in my journey in this life, so that's just a thing to know. I'm not sure if you have any comments on that, but yeah, like in my own experience, I've seen that, and I just never be a burden to someone. But that being said, don't think that reaching out to someone is the burden. That's not the burden. It's wasting their time. So thoughts and comments.
Yeah, I don't think I hope I haven't done that. Like I said before, I am always kind of conscious of how I, phrase and word things, like I said, because you don't want to waste your time, and you also about like asking for help is being like, okay, how can you come across as like not like saying like, hey, I like, of course they know that you want to like help yourself, but like, how do you like say that in a way that doesn't make you sound like, so arrogant and such, like that way. And yeah, part of it's not wasting your time, getting to the point, and expressing interest in what they do, and not just like, hey, can you help me with this? It's like I said, the first photographer I talked about Zooming, he's based in Nashville, and I'm going to Nashville this summer, and I think I'm going to reach out to him. I was like, hey, I would like to talk to you more about whatever. Can I, buy you coffee, or can I take you out for coffee? And so, like, yeah, like, if that works out, that would be great. But, like, obviously I would learn more. But, like, if I, buy him coffee, he might be more, like, receptive. It's like, even doing the little small things of, not wasting people's time and, showing that they are appreciated, and not like, oh, thanks for that, and I'll toss you aside and be on my way so I can keep moving up. It's all about giving back, and that's what I learned in this industry, any industry. If you find the right people, which most of the time it's easy to do, but like once you burn that bridge, they will remember it, and there's not really any way coming back from it.
Nope. So you better value those relationships while you have them, because once they're gone, they are gone. So with that being said, I just got some rapid random questions for you. I just
shoot
that I just want to get your opinion on. So you're a cinema major, So what's your opinion on like movies shot on iPhones?
I mean, if done well, I generally no.
Hot take. Hot take.
I mean, but so I used to are you talking about like iMovie or?
No, I literally mean like movie theater quality movies, like shot on like an iPhone. No, this is a Samsung. But for those of you listening, but like just imagine this Samsung phone I'm holding up is an iPhone.
Well, yeah.
All right.
We can put it in a graphic later or something.
Yeah, like what's your thoughts and opinions on that? Because some people, they make a lot of money doing this. They find a creative way to do that. So like objectively speaking, there you go. You tell me. Like what's your perspective on this?
Actually, I don't. This isn't good for a rapid fire, because I would have said no, but remember when like I went to you and I did that video, and that was on my phone, and that turned out well. But that's because I think it's fine as long as you have good editing software. Like, don't just like scrap something together. Good editing software makes good production. Anything makes it well. Like, makes anything.
See it yourself.
Darshaun's setup is great here. It is really nice, and you don't have to go like super fancy. Although I think this is super fancy. Like,
I try. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is not about me. This is about other people.
It's about knowledge of putting stuff together. You need to have that knowledge to put stuff together, because you can make you can make stuff that's really good out of nothing. I think like a good example of this, I don't know what equipment they use, but I follow this channel on YouTube. It's called Ascender, and I can think of a video that they made back in fall of 2020, and it was like a parody of 2020 at the beginning of COVID and the killer bees and running out of you remember that? Yeah.
Oh my.
That was something. That was a quick like. Everyone was worried about it for a solid week or two, and then it disappeared. Yeah. And then about the toilet paper running out. Anyway, my point to this story is that I know they said that they did it on a really low budget, but it looks like movie quality. It's about 20 minutes long, and I'm pretty sure if it wasn't filmed on a phone, it was probably like a DSLR camera, but like with a handheld tripod or something. But they did say it was low budget, so I'm assuming they didn't have a whole lot of fancy equipment. But it got the attention of Universal, and Universal really liked it. So it's all about the knowledge of putting stuff together. And you need some like editing equipment, but you don't need the equivalent of what the big guys have in the movie industry. I don't know. Take that with what you will, because I was all over the place.
No, that was solid. But all I know is that was not a short answer, Darshaun. Your questions are whack. Okay, I got more answers you can provide in shorter sentences or
Hopefully.
Questions.
That's
rather.
the goal.
That's the goal. Okay. Dream camera.
Ooh. I mean,
if you could only pick one.
I really like my Canon 60D that I have for my journalism classes. I haven't really been exposed to a whole lot because I'm still learning. But I hear
we'll change that.
I hear Sony's.
I'm gonna get her to Sony.
Yes, there you go.
I'm gonna get her to Sony.
I hear Sony's are great for videography. Actually, Darshaun.
This is recorded on a Sony. I have another Sony over there.
So I mean, I'm used to the Canon settings. Mm-hmm. So, But I'm sure Sony's great. I'll just a little bit of a learning curve.
Indeed. All right. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Oh, why blue?
It's my favorite color. Red's my mom's favorite color, so I don't like. I appreciate it.
I've never met your mom, but I like it a little bit more.
She's awesome.
Red's my favorite.
Shout out,
color.
Mom. Oh, listen to this podcast.
That's the goal.
Support Darshaun.
We try.
Yeah.
Apples or oranges?
Apples.
What about bananas or apples?
Apples.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
It's like refreshing.
I actually just had some pineapple pizza today, so I agree with you.
Okay, you made it sound like.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Throw me off my game. Okay.
Indeed. Speaking of Indeed, have you heard of Indeed, like the job platform?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not on it a whole lot. These past few months I kind of have been looking on it. LinkedIn's more my platform.
I was just about to ask you.
More of that. You can look for jobs and networking. Back to networking. The title better be like something about networking. We're circling back to networking here.
The power of networking. Okay. What else can I ask you? Do you know your driver's license number? Don't say it out loud, but do you know it?
No.
All right. What's your opinion on Canadians and how they say a boot?
They say a boot?
Yeah, like about, but it's like
a boot.
Yeah.
I've not heard that.
All right.
I need to meet some more Canadians, I guess.
Do you want to know why I ask that?
Yeah.
It's you're kind of from that area, I don't know. We're getting off topic now. That's all I got.
I'm so confused. Wait. I'm from that area?
No. We'll talk about this. Okay. Yeah. Bing bong. Oh, so that's all I got. Do you have any final questions, concerns, comments?
No.
All right. Was this a successful podcast episode?
This was so much fun. I hope the listeners and the viewers had a lot of fun. I hope you guys like me coming on.
Went for 37 minutes.
Oh, now. Sweet. Hopefully that means it was good. Yeah, we got some improv going on. We went on some tangents. Hopefully
this has
some good tangents.
Definitely not been scripted. This was all off the dome. One take.
Yeah.
You see all the blunders.
Yeah.
And
me struggling in that first that rapid fire question. That wasn't so rapid fire.
It's okay. But with that being said, I don't have anything else to say. So if you don't have anything else to say, I'm gonna do
go
the
Hawks?
outro. Go Hawks. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, unsubscribe, hate, comment, follow, unfollow, like, comment, dislike, hate. I don't care. Report it. Okay.
If you're disliking it, I hope it's because of me and not Darshaun. He has other great podcast episodes too. Keep listening to them.
Thank you. This is like I said, this is episode 71 of the Positivity Hour. I'm your host, Darshaun Smith, otherwise known as the Positivity God, or exclusively known as on this podcast as Big D, and this is my guest. I thought you were gonna say whatever.
Wait. I just waved so the podcast. Yeah, guys, it's been so much fun coming on. Little awkward here, but that's okay. It's it's not my first time being on a podcast, but it's my first time being on an unscripted podcast. I used to be a co-host for what's the Daily Islands podcast called?
I have no clue.
Not the Scoreboard. Why am I?
I think they reached out to me at one point, like a year ago, like when I first started this podcast, but I never responded. They were trying to get me on or something.
Okay, I don't think I was on that at the time.
Yeah, I need to respond. Maybe maybe I can get on and grow my audience a little bit.
But yeah, this was my first time being on an unscripted one, and yeah, it's been fun, but been thrown off my guard, which was good too. So like I said, no rehearsals here, and everything's raw,
one take.
real, and yeah,
one take.
But yeah, it's been fun.
So yeah, with that being said, that's all I got. See you later, deuces, and the camera's so far away. You get the point. Okay, we're done. Nope, you thought we're done. We're still recording audio.